Well, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to increase the budget for the education sector by 50% over the next 2 years. He made the commitment at the Global Education Summit in London. It's part of a 5-year pledge being made by world leaders to help transform education systems in more than 90 countries. Buhari says the education budget will progressively increase until it's doubled in 4 years' time.
The Global Education Summit actually is being convened by the Prime Minister of Britain in collaboration with the President of Kenya. There are donor countries working towards raising about $5 billion to commit to education around the globe. Nigeria has been a strong partner and one of the biggest spenders for education at the moment, and it is in that light that the Federal Ministry of Education, acting on the directive of the President, committed towards being part of this conference. So the President is here to work with his brother heads of government to work out the right allocations that will go to different states, and how to raise the entirety of the funds that are required, and to give Nigeria's commitment towards increased access to school outcomes and all the targets that Nigeria has been set.
All right, let's speak to CHUKUEMEKA NWAJIUBA, Nigeria's Minister of State for Education, whom you just heard from there, the summit in London. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Let's talk about some of the commitments that the Nigerian president has made at that all-important summit. He has said he will, let me just give an example, he will pledge, well, he's pledging actually 50% increase in education budget in the next 2 years. Exactly how does he plan to do this? Education budget annually in Nigeria has consistently been way below the 25% recommended. As a matter of fact, about 7%, on the average. Tell us about that commitment and others, of course, how the president hopes to go about it.
And good evening, Nigerians. Yes, the president has set out a set of commitments that he's made on behalf of Nigeria, notable of which is our desire to increase education spending to about 50% in the next 2 years. That is a realistic outlook, considering that what the president put out is a whole of government approach. Many people seem to limit education spending to only the amount of money that a federal government directly spends in respect of a particular institution. There is a whole of government approach around this. And in Nigeria already, 2% of consolidated revenue goes to servicing UBEC. And this is then in turn sent to all of the states. So we believe that acting in concert with all the subnationals, we will arrive at further spending. We also are trusting our members of the National Assembly. Everyone has been very diligent thus far in agreeing to upscaling the amount of money that is available for us to spend in the country. And this is where the president actually has relied on. We've had discussions about increasing this over time, and this is already ongoing. And we know that the funds can be pulled from different spending dynamics within the education ecosystem to aggregate further spending to where they are going to be doing this thing, providing the funds from. We think as a country, we all can get together and make sure that the funds are available. And everybody is online to do that. We're looking at increased spending from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund as well, to make sure that the funds that are available there are done properly targeted, and therefore increase spending on the whole for everybody. Yeah.
You were at the summit. Should this summit really be about the gathering and spending of these billions, or should it also be about placing greater emphasis on improving learning outcomes and employing new techniques, or what you could call methodologies? What do you think?
Well, it is all of it. Everything is wrapped into one. Everything we've discussed in the past 3 days centers around how to deliver better outcomes and how to make sure that people increase access. You're already aware that before we left Nigeria, the Federal Minister of Finance and my Finance Minister and myself were convoked the Safe School Initiative, considering the peculiar challenges of education in our country at the moment, where we are facing some onslaught from different parts. So increasing access, helping teachers, all the schemes that the federal government, in just this administration alone, the federal Buhari administration has widened access for teachers, try to get more teachers to schools, and make sure that all the places we built all our facilities, that they are able to be assessed. So all of this is an all-inclusive approach. And in reporting this, we will now look at what the gaps are financially, and it is the financing gap that has led to the summit. Because over the next 5 years, GPE is the global partnership on education. It's not just Nigeria. There are about 22 donors and 92 partner countries. And if you are not on the table presenting your work plan, if you're not on the table presenting your own ideas, you will probably be less favored, or you may not get as much as you want. But I'm happy to announce that just by the sheer presence of Mr. President at this conference alone, Nigeria has just hit the $120 million access point. Because coming from a few years ago when we could only access maybe 15 million for COVID and so on and so forth, this is a huge leap to where we are at the moment. And we think that Mr. President has done us a great deal of work by coming here himself and sitting with his brother presidents and ensuring that Nigeria is not shortchanged in any way. And looking at our entire work plan around the states in Nigeria and other places where we have all these gaps in teaching, gaps in attendance, gaps in access to quality education, and gaps in all the gaps that we need a lot of money to address all of them. But I think what we have gotten is a bridge in. And I must believe that all of this, we will have to start working on it. Education is not a static thing. We're going to continue. Most of our commitments are over the years, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
And I'm so glad you mentioned exactly how much Nigeria will be getting from this $4 billion that's been raised so far. And you have, of course, talked about, where the specifics as to where these funds will be going into. I'd like you to also expatiate on that. And then again, the issue of insecurity in the Northeast. 5,000 schools have been destroyed in the Northeast. Is it time, or isn't it even time, to declare a state of emergency in education in the Northeast? Of course, some would say all across Nigeria. What are your thoughts on that, considering that the Minister of Education, Adamu himself, has said, there's a need to call for a state of emergency on education?
Well, if a state of emergency calls, we're already at the state of other emergency. We recognize that there is an emergency. We don't need to declare it. Declaring it may just be putting the cover, but the federal government is already attacking the problem as if there is emergency. Every out of school children we are approaching, we're throwing all kinds of programs at the honor. We're engaging traditional rulers everywhere. We're engaging the military. The military is facing the bandits at every point, every part of Nigeria. We've approached this as an emergency. We don't need to wait until a declaration is made. All of the resources we have, we are every time at every point going around Nigeria. I mean, I'm sure before I traveled out, everybody was seeing me. I was in Zamfara. Before I left there, I was in Katsina. We're trying to get to all the places where we have problems and make sure that whatever needs to be done in collaboration with the subnationals to address the key problems in those places, we will. The Northeast is peculiar, like you pointed out, because we've had years of banditry, Boko Haram, that led to the kidnap of the Chibok girls. But you can see what Governor Zulum has done with the rebuilding of some of the schools and reopening of even the as much work is done at every point. Everyone needs to appreciate that what we are doing as a government is actually to make sure that all of the work is intertwined. They just kidnapped some people, some of our children at Brini Yaruri. The governor of Kebbi State was on immediately at that place, and so the military and everybody is collaborating. We are trying to make sure that this work is done. We don't need to declare a state of emergency. We already know we are in a state of emergency. Every resource that teachers need, we are providing. Every resource that students need, we are providing. Wherever we need to be at, we are always there. We're trying to engage at all points. There's nothing we are not doing. And we hope to do more. That's why actually the need for further funding and for help from everywhere is being done. Like you pointed out, Malam Adamadamu himself had already gone ahead to reach out to as many people as possible from around the world. Yes, only yesterday you heard that the governor of Kaduna State was already engaged with the Islamic Bank. Everybody is on board. So we are trying to do this holistically around the country. No one should be left behind. So we're approaching it as if it's an emergency already. If we don't have a formal declaration, we've already declared it in our mind, and we are already working at it.
Good, you said no one should be left behind. Malala Yousafzai, I was just watching her a while ago, talk about the girl education. Let's discuss these long-standing inequalities in education systems. How do you intend to turn this around? What efforts to help the disadvantaged?
Already, we have programs around the Amajiri school system to make them a bit more inclusive. We already have the out-of-school children initiative that we're already pursuing. We've already given states. This federal government has disbursed monies to all the BESDA states who I have also engaged their governors with to make sure that we upgrade and upscale what they are doing. We are reaching out to every part of the country where there are gaps in student enrollment, or where there are dropouts, or where the girl child is not getting an adequate looking. So all these programs are coming together. We've launched most of the programs. All the local and state actors are functioning. And I've been engaging them almost constantly, needling, going around, making sure that everybody is doing what we ask them to do. So we've seen some increase. COVID gave us a bit of a pushback because most of our plans were then upset immediately we came in to implement them. But we're back on track. We're trying to catch up on lost weeks and learning abilities within that period. But we're trying now to go back and recover all of that. However, we still have the challenge of making sure that those who are able to come to school get the right education. So teacher investment, and you've heard that this administration already has increased the number of years you can spend as a teacher in school, the number of years you get before you retire, because we want to use as many of our teachers as possible. You've heard that we are trying to absorb more teachers into all parts of Nigeria, and we're encouraging Nigerians to help us and not reject postings to parts of Nigeria. I understand the challenge, but that's our biggest challenge at the moment. People refusing to go and help in so many other parts of the country. But we're engaging everyone.
Thank you so much. Minister of State Education, Emeka NWAJIUBA, joining us from London there, the Global Partnership on Education, where about $4 billion has been raised already.